Pietje. What your gallery name? What was it again?
Tegenbosch van Vreden. Difficult name, difficult to pronounce, very long name, but that's also the reason why we chose it, because we thought then at least people remember it.
It sounds a bit like a lawyer's firm.
Oh really? Oh good. Nice, tough.
That's the kind of vibe you want to get across.
No.
So what did you bring to the fair?
Well, we did another fair before this one, which was Art Brussels. And at Art Brussels we showed a solo by Ricardo van Eyck. And that was interesting because he also did a sort of intervention in the booth. And then when Art Rotterdam came up, we thought we want to show people that haven't been on view for a long time because of COVID. So we decided to make a group presentation with different artists of the gallery. Yeah, that's what we have done. And because still of COVID, the architecture is a little bit different than it used to be. So you have a lot of these walls that go inside instead of that they close off the booth. And that's also a reason why you have more like corners. So you can make a sort of different atmospheres. Yeah.
It's not normal to have that many corners then.
Not like this, because very often these booths are closed off. And then you have to go inside, and then inside you can organize something. But here it's open, and still you have a lot of corners.
But can you imagine that because it's more open now, people you can show off stuff a bit better because people walk by and they see it right away? Or
it's different. I mean, what I don't like is that people can look at it and walk on. So you have to make people curious, of course, to enter the booth, and that's something that you can play with. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're not allowed to close off more parts of it.
No, because they didn't want people to stay in the corridors. They wanted people to move in, and so that you don't get a sort of, how do you call that? Klonten. Yeah. That's the reason. And they started with that last year, and they kept it like this year. Yeah.
Because as an artist, you don't really get the behind the scenes of what the gallery owner has to go through when they go to an art fair. It is a completely different world.
It's a completely different world, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What are the kind of things that you run into when you get a booth as a gallery at a place like this?
What do you mean?
Like practical things or technical things or.
Well, it depends, of course, on what you want to show. I told you that we did Ricardo van Eyck in Brussels, and he prepared it, and we had a really lazy day installing because he prepared it so well that it was easily installed, and the effect was great. But with this, normally we make a sort of maquette, but this time we couldn't because of all the events one after the other. And we decided to bring a lot of work, so we had to do it here on the spot, but it worked out really well. And I'm also happy that we brought these light boxes of Emma van der Puts. That's Emma, and well, the thing that you have to do, of course, is that you need something that is catchy. And on the other hand, you want to have a beautiful presentation as a whole and to make people curious, of course. Yeah.
So you said, this is the thing that every gallery owner says when you go to a fair, that it's really quiet.
Yeah.
Not that many people.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because there's so much going on at the moment. They had to postpone the fair until May because February was still in a lockdown. And then this was the only moment that it could happen, and I think it's good that it happened. But you can notice that because of all the things, all these events one after the other, that people are sort of reluctant. Basel still has to come. And then the beautiful weather, so people are outside, and it was more like a festival on the opening night than a fair.
Is that a bad thing?
Interesting. For us it's bad, of course, because we want to show, we want to talk with people, we want to have them inside. So for I love it that they are enjoying themselves, but for the business, which a fair is, of course, it's not the best thing, no.
Because when you don't change that much to the space itself, there are some people who alter the walls or put colors on it. Is that a deliberate choice that you say, well, that way we can really let the works pop out and speak for themselves? Or
yes, but that's also what we did in Brussels. We had a special intervention.
Can you tell a bit more about that intervention? Because you mentioned it quite a few times.
But well, Ricardo is someone who he considers himself a painter. but he does a lot of spatial things. He's really interested in architecture also. What he did there was he made a structure, an architectural structure that was a bit similar to like what we have with glass houses. And he made two walls entering the booth, one from the outside and the other from the inside. Then it had also had a sort of Japanese atmosphere, and within that structure we showed his work. But that was something that really pulls attention because it's not a normal booth then anymore. And I mean, you can paint the walls, of course, but still you have to decide whether you want to do a solo or present different artists. And if you present a big group, we have 10 artists here, then it's difficult to paint the wall red or green or yellow because not all the work is presented in the best way then. Yeah.
Do you have the idea that when you work with one artist and you make like an intervention with it, like what you did in Brussels with Ricardo, is that more about getting the eyes and getting the attention, or does it really contribute to making sales as well?
For us in Brussels it went really well. So I mean, yeah, you give exposure to one artist and you can tell more about his work. But I mean, both ways are interesting, I think. And the only thing is that you need to do it in a way that people are attracted to visit and that you can tell them about the works. And very often it also has a sort of after reaction. There are many people that ask for portfolios. They come over and visit. I was in the gallery yesterday and there was a Japanese couple that visited us the day before, and immediately yesterday they visited the gallery. So yeah, you never know what's coming out of it.
What's next for you?
Antwerp Ballroom Project. Next week is Antwerp Art Week, and they invited galleries over and they hired a big house in Antwerp, in Borgerhout, a beautiful building, and they invited other galleries to do a presentation there. So we sent in the work of Christina Lucas, which is around the corner, and we will make a presentation with a video of her and some of the compositions. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you notice you still have a building as a gallery, right? Yeah. Do you notice that there is a shift going from physical galleries, especially with COVID happening, towards more of a digitalized exhibition of the works?
Yeah, that's happening, and it influences everybody's way of looking, of course. But I'm very attached to the physical experience because I think art, you have to see it yourself. And of course it's good that all these other tools are there, but you need, I think, a physical space. Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, also, I would just sort of feel, why would artists make physical things? Eh? I mean, it's also an artistic choice, of course, to do something that's not only digital. And for some artists, it's difficult also to photograph their works or to show it digitally. And no, I'm really attached to that. But I think it's a nice mix.
But do you think that the development of like Instagram galleries and these kind of things, that there's artists who more and more move towards Instagrammable work, or doesn't that really?
I think Instagram really influences also the way artists work, and I know from artists in their studio that say this work does it well on Insta, but it will never sort of overrule the rest. I think it will be a mix. And of course, it's good that people experiment with that. But you don't know what's coming out of it, so it can be interesting, eh? Yeah.
To me, it kind of borderlines a bit on, because Instagram is really about the 2D aspect, especially when it comes down to 3D. Yeah. It almost comes down to this, I mean, looking at people like Joseph Kabanski, he makes this very Instagrammable work, basically made to be Instagrammable. Yeah. That it comes more towards like design almost, or like.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's an example that's really not interesting because it's only about how much, about reach, about the commercial aspect. And for me, art is something different. For me, art really can change the world, and it's about telling stories about who we are as people. And I think Klebanski and a lot of art, of course, can be also interesting. It's about effect. And this effect part is, of course, very interesting to see how you can work with that on Insta. But yeah, also many artists that suffer from Insta. I mean, because they're not easy to how do you call it? To photograph or to reproduce. Yeah, yeah.
So you'd say that even though artists now have an easier way of getting their work seen by the audience, now because of that, it kind of pushes in a certain direction, and people who don't comply to this push, to this current, they don't get the same opportunities in exposing themselves, or like they run into a blockade almost.
I don't think it will ever become like that. I think both. I think it's parallel worlds, and they will both stay. And for me, this physical experience is above everything. I mean, I think you should see and experience works, and some works that are made for a digital experience, of course, are different. But still, you have to experience them according to the context for what they're made. Yeah.
We should go around the corner to take a look at the work that you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She did that. She made it with the elements of what we are, what nature is, what life is. So she made compositions. She doesn't call it paintings, but she makes compositions with, for example, iron, phosphor, selenium, all the chemical elements that we are built up also of. And that made life possible. And in the beginning, when she started working with this, because her studio then looks like a kind of laboratory, and in the beginning, when she started with this, we showed works of her in the gallery, and there was one work that also got a yellow blob above it, because the process wasn't stopped yet. And then we sold that work, and also the one who bought it said, "Oh, what a pity that I don't have this yellow spot on the wall," because she stopped the process stopped. But of course, she got more control over it by doing it more often. And
so this isn't painting. This is chemistry, basically.
yeah, this is chemistry, and that's also the reason why she doesn't call it a painting but a composition. Yeah. And that's also the reason why she has these stones next to it, because these are all minerals, and also salt, for example, which is also part of our body, and it's very physical. And it's really about the environment is us. If we do something to the environment, we do it to ourselves.